Thank you. I'm not nervous or anything. I taught part of the avian course at University of Florida for 15 years, and I'm way more nervous speaking in front of you guys, and I think it's because I'm so honored to be here with you in your presence, because the Holistic Conference just means so much to me. My first time here at the Holistic Conference, I remember walking in and just feeling like, oh my God, these are my people. Where have you been? Why have I been going to VMX for so long and wasting my time? Sorry. But anyway, it's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be with you guys. Thank you so much for climbing into my newest rabbit hole. I love to learn. I am a lifelong learner, and I started my journey at Chi University. So my new passion of energy medicine is defined by the NIH as any energetic or informational interaction with a biological system to bring back homeostasis in the organism. So I really love that definition, because we're always talking about balance, of course. Again, I started in 2002. I graduated. While I was in vet school, I was driving over to the buildings that I bought to strip the wood and bust up concrete with my family, because this was going to be my home as a veterinarian. And so for a year and then 2 years after vet school, I built this beautiful giant practice, and it was just little old me inside, but I had a vision for integrative medicine, and I continued to grow the practice. And so by the time I left, it was this giant 7-doctor, 50 technician, 50 staff member beast. And it was just really an honor to go to work every day and be around such passionate people and have clients that were coming into us just like you guys. They come to you because they want different and they want better, and what an honor it is. And so early on in my veterinary career, I was already dipping my toe into energetic medicine. I didn't really quite it all came together later for me, but I was pursuing acupuncture, and we're moving chi, we're talking about energy, or we're talking about herbals and changing the energetics of our patients. But what I was doing is really focusing on the physical body at that time, and I didn't know that's what I was doing, but that's certainly what I was doing. And for sure, that's what we're taught in vet school. We're just focusing on the physical body. So I was doing all these things and collecting more stuff and learning ozone and going about my business, until I started to realize that I wasn't jumping out of bed anymore in the morning. I was kind of crawling out of bed, and I was really tired and really worn out. And it wasn't veterinary medicine, it was everything else around it. And so I walked into an exam room with one of my closest clients, and she just looked at me and she said, what is wrong with you? What, you're not well. And it's true, and I wasn't. And so I had, and particularly during COVID, we all suffered. We all went busier than we've ever been, right? We couldn't keep up. We were scared. We were worried. We were dealing with all these things. And just at the end of it, when I finally got everybody to safety and we got through it, I just pretty much said, I cannot do this anymore. I can't. I'm too tired. And we're going to circle back to that. This story actually does have a point. So I took my daughter, my youngest daughter, to her track meet. And I came home, and uncharacteristic of me, took a nap. And when I woke up from the nap, I texted my husband and said, we're moving to Hawaii. And he said, I'm sorry, what? And I said, we're moving to Hawaii. And I texted my parents and said, pack your house, we're moving to Hawaii. And my parents said, what? And then I texted my sister. And so less than 9 months later, the practice was sold in wonderful hands. And I was on a journey, and I owned a house in a land I had never been in, never set foot, never gone on vacation, but for some reason knew that that's exactly where I needed to be and exactly what I needed to be doing. And finally, instead of fighting against it all, I just listened, and I just did it. And it was a really wonderful thing. And then I got there, And I'm working 60 hours a week. When I'm with my kids, I'm on the cell phone working all the time, right? All of you guys are just the same. We're always working, giving. And then all of a sudden I was like, well, okay, like, am I irrelevant now? Like, what am I supposed to do with all this? And so my daughter, who was in energy classes, said, hey Mom, come to this class with me. And I said, no, I don't want to do that. And she's like, no Mom, please come to this class with me. And I said, well, it's an opportunity to hang out with my kids, so I'm going to go. And I went to my first hands-on healing, energetic healing class, and it's taught by Healing Beyond Borders. And I just sat in that class and I was like, oh my, I think this is why I'm supposed to be in Hawaii. I think this is my next rabbit hole of where I'm supposed to go. And I just got so excited about it. And so this is why I'm here today sharing this with you. And again, we're going to, like my story, we're going to circle back at the very end. So Einstein had it right. He had it right a long time ago when he said everything is energy and that's all there is to it. Period. Everything is energy. So match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy, this is physics. Well, and we know, right? Physics is finally catching up to these brilliant minds. So when I started to learn about energy medicine and practice it and see the success, I was like, why isn't every veterinarian talking about this all the time? Like, it was so exciting. We have all these tools, and what we can do with just our bodies and just moving our energy is utterly incredible. And Dr. Georgi said, he's an MD Nobel laureate in medicine, in every culture and in every medical tradition before ours, healing was accomplished by moving energy. I love this quote. I use this quote all the time. And of course, like they all knew, we all know, we've gotten lost along the way. We've gotten stuck in our double-blinded study ways. We've been bought out by Big Pharma. And these guys had it right, and they were working on moving the energy, and we just got lost along the way and got suffocated by symptom suppression. And then how many of you have clients that come in and are like, I'm on this drug for this, and then they gave me that drug because I've got symptoms for that drug. And then just clearly there's a better way, and we need to get back to that better way. And so health is the free flowing of energy throughout and around the body. So that was new to me. Of course, I understood in acupuncture that we're freely flowing energy, and that's our point in acupuncture, is to move the energy. But what I didn't understand was also very important to move the energy around the body. It's our ability to rest and digest. It's our ability to stay in parasympathetic. And it's also allowing that that flowing energy will give the body its ability to heal itself. So when we're restoring the energy flow, and we can do it in a lot of different ways, we're actually creating the body's ability to heal. Disease, simply put, is the blockage of energy. It's when the energy stops moving. It's when stagnation happens. And this occurs with chronic inflammation. No surprise, we all talked about this. If you guys got to see Katie Kangus's lecture, it was absolutely awesome on stress. Watch it recorded if you didn't get to see it. And it's just our inability to rest and digest. We're living in a world where we're literally fight or flight at all times. And we're losing our cellular polarity, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So energy flows in a few different ways. So energy flows in acupuncture. I knew and understood very clearly that these meridians were channels for the subtle energy to flow through the body. And then as I started to study energetic medicine, I started to learn more about the chakras and understand their, of course, Sanskrit for wheel, and their energetic transformation points in our body. And there's 7 major, pretty much that's what for the most part is accepted now, and many, many minor, and those minor ones are associated with our acupuncture points. Our major chakras correspond to the nerve plexuses in the body, and every chakra spins at a different frequency. So probably most of you guys know, but if you don't, we've got the Roy G. Biv rainbow up of our 7 chakras, because they're spinning at different frequencies, emitting different lights and emitting different sound vibrations. So when you start talking about energy medicine and sound medicine, you're actually affecting different chakras, and you maybe are opening those chakras and helping them flow. And this spinning motion helps to bring in information into your body, and it helps to deal with the information, and then it helps to release the information. So you can imagine that keeping these chakras open and spinning is critical for your health. So this was also new to me, the aura, the biofield. Science says it's a massless field that surrounds and penetrates the physical body. A lot of people think that we're actually manifesting or starting our disease out in the energetic body, and then over time it's manifesting into a physical disease. So this aura or biofield is measured as an electromagnetic field, and it can go up to about 8 feet away from people. And so when I was in my practice, there was a lot of things that I noticed, and I didn't really know how to answer it. One of the things was, why do my diabetic owners have diabetic pets? Why do my super anxious owners have super anxious pets? And it made sense to me. I'm like, oh yeah, they're sharing energy, and I kind of understood it. Why, when all of us, who I know all of you are intuitive, you walk into an exam room and you instantly can understand this patient is in trouble. I don't have to run a test. There's something profoundly wrong with this animal. Or this animal is going to do it. This animal's going to make it. Like, we're doing good. Or you go into a room and you just know the client is just, they're shut down, they're closed, they don't want to listen to what you have to say. So we're all reading energy, we're all doing that every day, and it's just a part of our life. And the reason why I talk about that now is because that's our biofields that are interacting. And we go into a party and we see somebody across the room and we're like, whoa, that person is really, great looking, or I want to be in that person's biofield. That's just our biofields talking to each other. So we're all shifting energy every single day. And I think this is pretty much like everybody knows this, but it's just nice to remind you that everything you do is shifting the animal's energy. If you give a pharmaceutical drug, if you give prednisone, you've shifted the animal's energy. And we know that because what are we going to tell the owner? Well, they may get hot, they may drink more water, right? This is a shift in energy. We're injecting the physical body, we're administering something. Even if it's saline or a homeopath, we're still shifting the body. We cut into the physical body. Well, the physical body is just energy. So we're shifting the energy when we do surgery. We give herbals and supplements, the very same thing. We want to cool off a hot dog. We want to warm up a cold dog. We're shifting their energy. Curcumin. I had a dog come in once, and the owner said, you're going to have to help me because this dog is, the vet said it's cushingoid, it's PUPD, we can't get it to stop drinking. And we did a list of supplements, and turns out she had been chronically feeding the dog curcumin, which is very hot and warming. So we stopped the curcumin and the dog was great. So we're shifting their energies all day long. We're making diet recommendations. We want to cool the patients off. We want to warm the patients up. We want to boost their chi. We want to move the damp. And then, of course, we talked about that subtle feedback. So we're feeling our patient's energy. In Chinese medicine, we're looking at their shin, and it's a wonderful way to make a diagnosis or a prognosis with our patient. So that was a really wonderful thing to learn. So I said, I'm doing this weird stuff. I look like some kind of weirdo putting my hands on my family and my animals. So now I need to just go back and do this search and find out, like, what am I doing? What does science say I'm doing? And can I go out into the world and tell people that I'm doing this? And so I was very excited to see how lovely science is catching up with it, and wanted to just share how we're catching up to what our ancients knew so long ago. So in 1820, Hans Christian Ørsted moved a compass needle with flowing current, thus discovering magnetism from electricity. In 1820 to 1855, Ampere began to shape the current theory of electromagnetism, and the electric current produces a magnetic field as it flows through a wire. So this gives rise to biomagnetism. If we are energy, if we are electrical energy, then certainly we are magnetic beings. So the fundamental law of electromagnetism is that electrical currents such as those that flow through the body must produce magnetic fields in the space around the body. In 1850, all the experiments replaced the ancient theory of vital force with electricity. Oh, so now science is like, we got this. Essence, chi, prana, this is just electricity. I mean, okay, so it helped us with a lot more studies, so that's not too bad. In 1906, Eindhoven recorded the first ECG, which measured the strongest field in our body, which is our heart. And if you're doing energy work, you know that we're going to channel our energy work from our heart space. And so it's really cool that that was the first signal that was picked up and the most powerful, of course. So in 1929, Hans Berger recorded smaller electrical fields from the brain. In the 1930s, Albert Einstein and Erwin Schrödinger discovered two separate particles remain connected without being in direct contact. What? That is crazy. So in the 1930s, Albert Einstein was postulating quantum entanglement that took years to catch up and prove. And so that just blows my mind. And so now the hot buzz topic, right, quantum entanglement, you've probably all heard of this, is that the particles must be traveling at a speed faster than light. Basically, the universe is connected. Everything is connected in the universe. In 1963, researchers began to measure the magnetic fields around the body, and this is where things really started to take off, because now we've got SQUID recordings, which are superconducting quantum interference devices. They're giving us our first way to measure our biomagnetic fields in space and around the body. And this was very powerful for science catching up with what practitioners of healing touch or healing, hands-on healing were already doing. In 1972, John Clauser proved quantum entanglement. So with Stuart Friedman, they set up an experiment and proved that two particles 10 feet apart were entangled. So Einstein is correct. In 2004, the SQUID detects the heart's magnetic field several feet from the body. So here we go. We're on our way understanding that this stuff is real. In 2005, McCrady's research proved that the magnetic field produced by the heart travels like radio waves instantly throughout the body and outside the body, reaching persons or animals within the range of communication. That is amazing. And he went on to publish proof of the idea of entrainment, of frequency locking. And so what frequency locking is when the R waves of one subject's ECG become precisely synchronized with the onset of EEG alpha waves of another subject up to 5 feet away. So our energies, when we come in contact with somebody, they want to entrain. And energy never travels from a higher to a lower. It travels from a lower to a higher. You ever get around people that you really want to be around? They have like this really great aura because they're pulling your energy up and they're entraining your energy, and it feels really good to have that done. And so we use that frequency locking when we're using hands-on healing and other healing modalities. So now we need to narrow the definition of energy medicine. It's such a broad, wide term. And so our researchers believe that it's the study of electromagnetism as it refers to disease and health. But our healers believe that we're attracting the subtle energy, and our goal is to be a conduit of that energy to our patient to reestablish the energy flow of that patient. We are not giving away our energy. We don't go and do an energy healing session and just say, I'm going to give you all my energy so that you can heal. And you don't go and do an energy session on a human, say if you wanted to, that's very ill, and you're not going to contract that frequency or that energy because energy wants to travel from a low to a high place. So, okay, so let's just do it for a minute. Everybody sit up nice and tall and put both your feet on the ground. And close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Everybody's tired from all the partying this week. Let it out. And now imagine that your feet are trunks of a tree, and those trunks are growing roots deep into the earth, very deep, spreading out, gathering the energy from the earth. That energy is red, hot energy. And you're going to bring that energy up into your body and feel it climbing up higher into your body, all the way up, out your hands. And now start with your hands a few feet apart and slowly bring your hands together until you feel resistance or tingling. And you're feeling your biomagnetic field. You can open your eyes, and this is very powerful. Your energy is coming through your minor chakras of your hands, and you genuinely can feel it. And so it's really, really cool. We'll circle back to that as well. So that energy flow that you just felt is directed to your patients. And again, we're working on, the body knows what it needs to do. We're just trying to give the body the ability to heal itself and do what it needs to do. And so this is the study that I literally was like, oh my goodness, this is just the craziest study ever. And I read the whole study to my husband, who was like, what? But it was amazing. In 1990, Dr. John Zimmerman of University of Colorado Health Sciences Center proved that energy signals that practitioners project from their hands during a healing session, measured in both frequency and strength, matched the energy signals of clinical devices created by scientists to repair certain tissues. Wow. So what is that saying? Well, the practitioners we're not registering what frequency needs to be projected from our hands. The body already knows. We're only conduits of the energy to pass the energy on to the body to help heal. And so those clinical devices, scientists spent a long time measuring frequency, strength. How do we target cancer? How do we target fibromyalgia? How do we target these things? And they came up with a beautiful prescription. And lo and behold, the energy healers from their hands are producing the exact same frequency and the exact same strength. That's just crazy. It absolutely is insane. So how does it work? What is it doing at a cellular level? So we get our pulsed electromagnetic fields, and those are coming from our hands or coming from another device, potentially. We're initiating a cascade of reactions in the cellular membrane. Then we initiate a cascade of reactions within the cytoplasm, and then we initiate a cascade of reactions with a nucleus and DNA. And by doing that, it activates all of these things: gene expression, enzyme activation, protein synthesis, cellular proliferation, growth and dedifferentiation, immune surveillance, tissue repair, chemotaxis, contraction, regeneration, and tumor invasion. But how does it get to the rest of the body? Well, in 1994, Gilman and Rodbell won the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine because they demonstrated that the G proteins receive those signals from outside of the cell, and they turn on many cellular amplification systems. So now, not only is the body receiving the energy at a cellular level, but the G proteins are able to create an amplification process. So now we see the body's ability to heal. Well, so in my mind, this is where I was going, because in practice, we used radio frequency to treat cancers, and we did it really successfully. And so if our hands can match these frequencies what is it doing to realign the polarity of cells? For any of you guys that don't know, radio frequency does a lot of things, but one of the main things that it does is it realigns the polarity of our cells. And can hands-on healing stimulate our vagus nerve? I mean, I suspect, of course, that it can. And what's the importance of stimulating that vagus nerve for our patients? So polarity of cells, if our entire bodies are energy and our entire bodies are magnets, then the polarity of cells must be critical in maintaining cellular function. It's involved in the development of species and, of course, in homeostasis. Any disruption in the cellular polarity will lead to disease. And typically, it's an apical to base polarity, but there are other ways of cellular polarity that they can align. And this is cool. This is how our epithelial cells provide a barrier against pathogens. Our neurons, they have to be polarized before they can fire and function properly. So polarity is critical in our normal cellular migration. So imagine how this affects cancer formation and metastasis. If we lose our polarization and we get asymmetrical cellular division, that can contribute to cancer. Now, some asymmetrical cellular division is good, and the body is directed at that, and it knows how to move and shift the polarity. But sometimes it's not good. It's the body that has cancer or that's doing something inappropriate. And the most important thing, well, not most, but a really important thing about our polarity of cells is that if our polarity is not aligned and our cells can't function, we can't detox. And my God, what do we need to do in this world more than detox all the time? We are so toxic. Even if you're doing the best job you possibly can, there's no way that you can't be affected by the toxicities of our world. And so if our polarity is not functioning properly, we cannot detox like we need to. So this is incredibly important to repolarize our cells. And that's just another way to show how many things the polarity affects. And that's really an oversimplification. So what about stimulating our vagus nerve, and why do we want to do it? It's the reason why we meditate. We want to rest and digest. It's the longest of our 12 cranial nerves and plays an incredibly important role in the brain-gut axis. Also, the vagus nerve has immunomodulatory properties and plays a role in inflammation. So it hugely helps inflammation in the body. The vagus nerve is like everywhere. But it had such a hard time finding the vagus nerve, like where it is in dog anatomy. So I'm sorry I couldn't put that up there. I really struggle with that. But it really is everywhere. It starts in the brain and goes all the way down pretty low. So how are we going to work on the subtle body then? We talked about working on the physical body, but we're going to also work on the subtle body. Well, we can actually use acupuncture and intention to work on the subtle body. We move the energy along the meridians to unblock stagnation and restore energy flow in our animals. We can use herbal therapy to work on the subtle body as well. And that's just targeting specific organs and systems to move the energy. Homeopathy is a wonderful way to work on the subtle body. Reiki, Rei, spirit, Ki, energy. And Reiki is a spiritual energy to calm pets and move energy. Hands-on healing we talked about. We're transferring the earth's energy to our pets to help restore energy flow, stimulate innate healing. And bioenergetic testing is also a way to work on the subtle body. We can evaluate the energies, imbalances in pets, and we do that using a computer. So it's a lot faster, it's a lot easier to do that. And in the 1950s, Dr. Reinhold Voll of Germany noticed that there were electrical currents moving along acupuncture points. He noticed that at the acupuncture points, the electrical resistance was lower. And he developed a machine to test the energy at these points. And over the years, he found what his normal level was. And any energy that was depressed was a sign of deficiency, and energy that was higher, the higher measurements were a sign of inflammation. So he developed a pretty amazing way to do bioenergetic testing. And now it's been taken over by different companies and really developed, and it's quite a useful tool and a pretty popular screening in humans and pets. And so what we can do with bioenergetic testing is we're sending all these signals to the animal, and the animal is responding by getting dinged by the different energies. And then a wonderful thing about this tool is that then the computer goes through different signals and find out what's the balancer of the body, what balances that energy. And then so this helps in identifying any type of inflammation or weakness. And then what you can do is balance the remedies. They can be imprinted to homeopaths, and you can be given orally to bring the body back into balance. Because essentially, it's all about balance. Like all of the lectures that we've heard, it's been a wonderful microbiome talks, anti-aging. It's about bringing the body back into balance. So most of you are already practicing energy medicine, right? So maybe you knew you were, maybe you didn't, and now you're like, oh yeah, I am practicing energy medicine. But perhaps you want to go a little further and you want to work on the subtle body. And so this is a great benefit because truly our pets hold and harbor our energy. And that is really important for our pet owners to understand that their energy is directly affecting their pet. And so when they come into the clinic and they're super scared and they're holding their animal and they say, please don't let my animal die. Please don't let my animal die. The dog is like, or the cat is just like, oh my gosh, If we can find a way of gently telling our owners that our animals are picking up on all the energy, then I think it'd be a wonderful, wonderful benefit to help heal. We don't need to go into the exam room and do hands-on healing in our super busy integrative practices. But we can take just nuggets from energy medicine and energy work, and we can maybe work with our pet owners and maybe hold courses for our pet owners about how to help themselves so that they can help their animals. And so that's a huge passion of mine, is trying to help the humans, because the humans are really suffering right now. And with all this suffering, you're really causing a lot of suffering in our animals. So we have to work on ourselves, and we have to do that for our animals. And so what about us, right? Like I talked about in the beginning, like veterinary medicine and the business of it, it broke me. And I could not do it anymore. And so how do we protect ourselves from this? Because this is a huge problem in veterinary medicine, and particularly women. We give everything, and we put ourselves last. And so in order to be the best doctors that you can be, you're going to have to take a minute, and you're going to have to take care of yourself, whatever modality, however that is. And then everyone is going to want to be around you, because they're not going to understand why you're doing so great and why you feel so great. And they're going to know, what did you do? And so think of the impact that you can have. Yes, you're an awesome acupuncturist. Yes, you're an awesome herbalist. But think of the impact that you can have with the owners if you're starting to have this conversation with them, if you're starting to help them. And all it's going to do is help yourself, so that you can be the best practitioner and you can be there. And you don't have to sell all your stuff and move to Hawaii. I mean, you can. That's pretty awesome, I'm going to say. But you don't. And had I had some tools before, maybe I wouldn't have had to do that. Maybe I would have been able to deal with all that was coming at me and all the stress. Well, this brings me to compassion fatigue. It's when I start to look at the numbers, I'm just utterly astounded. 1 in 6 veterinarians contemplate suicide? What? And I thought to myself, if I were a suicide or leaning towards suicide, I would have been thinking about it too in that time. I was just very alone and very tired. This is not acceptable. And we need to be talking about it way more. And we are. But we need to be talking about it even more. Our technicians, our nursing staff, they last 5 years with us. We put so much into these guys, and we get them for 5 years? Like, that's not acceptable. And according to the AHA veterinarians, under 30 are now reporting the highest burnout rate. I don't know about you guys, but we have a serious veterinarian shortage issue. And now we're talking about people ready to walk away from the profession because they're burned out. We have got to be talking about this. And for me, studying and learning about energy medicine and realizing that a big part of what I was doing wrong was, well, I think this is my next is that I wasn't understanding the difference between compassion and empathy. And I wasn't holding my compassion where it needed to be. And I can assure you that every single one of you are exactly the same, unless you're super zen and you're amazing and I'm impressed and want to be in your aura. But that's what we do. We go into an exam room, and if we're feeling empathetic, so empathy is when we're taking on the feelings of our client, whatever feelings they are, but a lot of times they're sad. We're taking those feelings on. And science has broken it down into two parts. There's the cognitive empathy, which is we want to understand why are our clients feeling this way, or our staff. And there's the emotional empathy, where we feel what they're feeling. And empathy is important, don't get me wrong. Empathy leads to compassion, because compassion is actually the action that you take to help alleviate someone's suffering. We don't want to live in a compassionless world. Like, this is critical. But what happens is that when we keep our compassion elevated in our heart chakra, then we stay safe from compassion fatigue. It's really hard to do that. And it's really hard to continue to practice that, because what happens is our energy and our empathy and our compassion, they drop down into our emotional chakra. And we feel everything. And we walk out of an exam room, we close the door, and we're taking it with us, case after case after case. Like, how do we survive that? It's really hard. Because we're not in here to say, well, we don't care. Good luck to you. Catch you on the flip side. We really care. And so just making a choice to learn and to bring your energy and your compassion up into your heart chakra means the ability to let go of these patients. You let them go. They're not yours to carry. So, an exercise that you can do that takes 2 seconds is when you walk out of an exam room, because all of you do this. You walk into the exam room and you instantly make a heart-to-heart connection. You make a heart-to-heart connection with the client, and you make a heart-to-heart connection with the patient. Why? Because you're all around making heart-to-heart connections with me. I feel it. Like, this is the most loving group of people I've ever been around. So I know you're walking in and you're doing that without anybody telling. And you know that when you make that heart-to-heart connection, that you're able to get more information, a better treatment plan, you're practicing better medicine. But what you don't do is when you walk out of the exam room, you don't release it. You just go to the next patient and you take on more. So when you walk out of the exam room, close the door and release it. Just let it go. It's not yours to carry. I think that might be it. How am I doing on time? Whoa! I finished early? Oh man, I'm speeding through it. Wait, let me make sure. Yeah. Thank you guys so much.